Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Good evening, everybody. I want to get started. Just want to remind everybody, this is for information only. We'll give you the information on the bond, two bond issues that are coming up, and we want your input. You can ask questions. We'll have a question and answer period. You can also tour the police department, so you can take a look at what's there and form your own opinion. We're not here to deliberate the matter. It's not a vote. We're not voting on anything tonight. It's just strictly for information only. So thanks for coming, everybody. So Gail?
Thank you, Mayor. So as mentioned, I want to do a brief introduction. Obviously, you know your mayor and your council members, but in the audience tonight, assisting on this measure is our director. So starting in the far right corner back there is our chief, Rolf Nelson. Brian Craig is our new director of Public Works and will be assisting with the pool project. And we have Director Sean Landis and also the Assistant City Manager, our floodplain administrator, and our building official, Nick Kondieski. And I think I've gotten all of you guys. Oh, sorry, in finance, at the end, we will have tables set up. Mike Gibbs is our Director of Finance, so if you have any questions as far as tax rate or information of that sort, Mike will be able to assist you. So tonight, we put the town hall together for two proposed projects. As the mayor mentioned, these have not been voted on. Your city council will be looking at February 4th to deliberate this matter. The first one is the new police station and two potential sites that we'll look at tonight, and then the new municipal pool with three potential designs that has been developed. As mentioned, we've got information stations that are set up, so this will be no more than a 15-minute presentation. At that point, we'll do question and answer, and then the stations will be out in the lobby this time if you'd like to go and talk to the respective departments with any particular questions that you may have. Communications and feedback, in addition to tours. The police will be available if you would like at the end of the presentation and Q&A to go in the far back right corner. They'll be able to assist you with rounds of tours inside the police station. The feedback at the end of the presentation will have a QR code. In addition, on the city's website right now, we have an electronic means for you to be able to put in feedback. And then if you would like to do it in writing, we also have papers that will let you manually write that out. So whatever your preference is, this is to get some feedback to your city council before that February 4th meeting. So the police station, I'm going to ask Chief Nelson to go ahead and come on up to the podium. We're going to work hand in hand on a number of different slides here, but I'll let you kind of start.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. The pictures up on the screen depict what is our evidence room. It's very full. Again, I know you've heard it a couple of times now, but I encourage you to take a tour of the police station because seeing the evidence room in person is much different than this picture. It can't even begin to depict how crowded it is. Our jail, when it was designed, it was probably a very good design plan. However, industry standards have changed. There's a number of things that are in our current facility that do not comport with modern jail cells. The doors opening inward is one of those things, and that's a pretty significant safety issue for those incarcerated. Our officer workspace and employee areas are very, very packed. The picture to the extreme left is our limited locker space. That's about the same for both the male and the female toiletry or bathroom areas. It's a very small locker space. The far right photograph depicts the bathrooms. That's the female bathroom, I believe. There's one shower for the female staff and one shower for male staff. So in an emergency, our 47 employees are going to be split between one female shower and one male shower. The center, I'm sorry, could you go back for me? The center photograph is our dispatch area. This area has only two consoles to work from, so in an emergency, Both of those consoles would be in use. If one of them happened to go down for any reason, that would limit our ability to effectively communicate with the units in the field. This area depicts our kitchen area, or basically where officers and our other staff go to relax and have lunch. It's very close. You can see the jail. I know that that picture is kind of small, but the jail door is at one end, right next to the dispatch center, which is also next to the lobby door. And what you can't see is to the right of that photograph is where our interview room is. So it's all very close quarters. So if we've got someone in the interview room that we're talking to, we would be recording that conversation. And we have to run everyone out of the kitchen because it's going to pick up everything on the recording.
Thank you. So moving to proposed sites, we'll show a different site plan here in a minute, but what City Council's tasked us with looking at was to see, in addition to the current proposed site that's off the traffic circle area, other sites within the city. So Site 2 on the right is the site that's across from McDonald's, just off 146. And we'll start with Site 1, just on some different facts for each one. So this is the location that's just off Lakeside near the Lighthouse Daycare. The area is in some flood zones, and again, we've got our floodplain administrator with us, so if there's any specific questions, we can definitely look at those. This area has sufficient drainage, so the site plan with the architect, there is no detention. This property is city-owned. There is a commercial overlay district in this area, and it is centrally located as far as logistics. This is a rendering of the proposed site plan going to the lakeside area. So as you can probably not see, but I'll just kind of work with the cursor here, is we do understand that there's a cart path and a pedestrian path. So right now the rendering does show that the path goes around the north side of the building. Right now there's more than enough parking in this proposed site, so this is actually a preliminary, could be changed with additional input. The second site is the corner of East Meyer and 146. This is the site that is adjacent to the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department. And this area is in a Zone X, but substantially out of any disaster floodplain area. The detention on this one, we've talked a little bit with TxDOT and the architect, so there would be some detention needed. That meaning that some space on land would need to be identified. This property is currently not owned by the city, and this property is the same as the other site. It's centrally located, looking at it with the police department. The architect took comments from City Council to see if both site plans would fit the current programming. Programming was where they went through with the police department over the last 2 years to determine space programming needs, not only for current, but into 20, 30, and 40-year plans. Right now, the estimated costs for the police station are estimated between 15 and 18 million, depending on Site 1 and Site 2. Site 1, again, with the land cost out, we're looking around 15 million, and with you estimate on the land about 3 million, we're looking at the upper part of this, which would be 18 million for Site 2. The breakdown on the cost, the building itself comes in just under 12 million as it's programmed right now. With all project cost, that's where the 15 million comes into play. And again, the breakout for 15 million, and then the 3 million would be for land, and there is going to be some additional cost for drainage. The bond schedule for the police station breaks out starting in February. Again, February 4th would be calling of election. The election's in May. Bond sales take a little while after, if they are approved. So by September of 2025, hopefully all closing documents would be in place. Design is a 9 to 10 month process. Then it would go out to bid for construction, and then it's over a year of construction. So in this particular timeline for this particular bond, you would be looking at construction being sometime probably in 2027. So it's a bit of a process. At this time, I'll be asking Brian Craig, our Director of Public Works, to come up and talk a little bit about the condition of the city's current pool facilities.
We're going to start off with how the existing pool looks currently. The slide feature was removed due to its age and its structural integrity. The pool needs major maintenance to bring it up to code. Back in 2022, there was analysis done, and the cost estimate to get the pool back up to code was $800,000. These are more pictures of how the pool looks currently. These are the three options, option A, B, and C. Option A is the low-cost option. It's a 6-lane, 25-yard lap pool. Option B is the 6-lane lap pool with an additional zero-scape pool with a little play structure on the front. This option also has a 6-inch sunbathing ledge. Option C expands on option B further, a little bit bigger, more of the beach area, a little bit larger sunbathing area.
All right, and I'll add on to Brian's presentation. What you're seeing right now is purely conceptual, but with the current facility that we have, if you've been out, we have 2 buildings that flank the entrance out there currently. Both of those buildings were in the 1960s, 1970s. And so with FEMA regulations, our first concern was if we did any remodel, what to do with the restrooms. So right now, the option that would be least expensive would be to, obviously, what you're seeing in here is dress up the front, add some landscaping, additional fencing, and then we would do a slight remodel on the older buildings, so not to escalate the price and to keep that price within the infrastructure of the pools themselves.
So on the three options, the first option A was estimated $3 million cost. Option B is a $4 million, and option C is a $5 million estimated cost.
Thank you. This time, I'll ask our Director of Finance, Mike Gibbs, to come.
Good evening. So essentially, we have multiple possible propositions that we're presenting tonight. The low end would estimated increase on the property tax would be just over 1 penny. That's for the $3 million. As you can see, it would be $33 roughly annually to a average $300,000 home. And that escalates up to the $18 million debt issue of a possible estimated increase in taxes to just over 5 cents, 5.5, which is an estimated $114 annually to the property owner of a $300,000 home. So.
All right, thank you very much, all of you. So this comes to a conclusion of our general presentation. At this time, we would like to open it up for any questions or answers. We've put 2 microphones at the front. If you guys want to line up, if you will take a microphone just so that we can hear you.
Is there any questions? Comments? Yes, come on, please.
It's about the police station, so.
I'm sorry, there's a little button if you'll just push that.
There you go.
Okay, so the police, it seems like that, I'm going to take a tour of the police station after this meeting, but what are the police officers doing in the meantime? I mean, if this is slated for 2027, I mean, that's 2 years, 3 years maybe, until they have an adequate facility. I mean, that looks really bad. So that's one question. The other question about the pool, so the city council will decide on option 1, 2, or 3, or you want feedback on option 1, 2, or 3 from us? Yes. Okay, and then maybe questions about the management and the fees to use the facility, since our taxes are going up to pay for it. I guess it would be interesting to know if there's going to be additional fees. and if the season will be extended, because the season has been so short that, I mean, maybe it's not, maybe it's, if it's not going to be open more than 8 weeks out of the summer, it just seems foolish to put all that money into it, because maybe we're just buying the lap pool for the swim team. I don't know. It hasn't been open for a very long season in the past, so I'm just kind of concerned about those issues.
One thing I'll just add, I know we had a question at the last town hall meeting about that, and so we were talking with the pool designer about what the possibilities of a heater would be for those options. So we haven't really deliberated that with council, but that question did come up.
Chief?
To answer your question about what we're doing now, we're making this facility work. So I know it's not, that's not, probably not the glamorous answer you want, but this is the facility that we have, so that's what we're working out of.
Cal, may I ask if you can just remind the audience why we can't remodel our current facility for the police department?
So the answer to that is, could we? We could. It was as we were going through our CIP project back in June of this last year. It's part of our budget process. I approached council to see if we wanted to, given sort of some of the issues that we're having with the police department. They're trying to go after accreditation. This is going to be some roadblocks of us being an accredited police department. And so as we talked through that during the CIP process, the location of the police department in a flood zone is the main reason that we were looking at relocating it. They did experience during Ike, the surge event will eliminate them being able to station here if they want to be able to respond immediately. The waters will come down at some point, but we do have to figure out where do we position ourselves after such a event. So we could remodel here, but the objective, if I'm answering the question correctly, is that we want to get out of a flood zone so that we would be able to have our first responders respond as quickly as possible.
Just for those that you don't know, that during Ike, the storm surge was at a depth of 4 feet around this building, which resulted in 1 foot inside of the police station.
Yes.
So is that building for the police has been decided, or is just an option so far?
No. No, you'll get to vote on whether the bond passes for a police station or not.
Sorry?
You'll get to vote. It'll be a bond vote.
We'll vote,
You'll vote on whether to pass it or not pass it.
does the cost makes a difference between the location?
Yes. Or not at all.
I'm sorry,
Or not fund it at all.
not yet. So I guess, like you're saying, we're gonna have to decide where the police station is gonna be at.
Hopefully, we'll decide
Vote it
that.
on.
Before it goes to bond, that will be decided. That will be decided in February.
Right, so February 4th, your city council will be looking at calling the election at that point, which projects are on there, and which direction they want to go as far as sites.
Yeah, you'll
When
have
you
one
say
choice
we-
on the site.
Sorry?
You'll have one choice on the site.
Okay, I realize that, yeah.
Okay.
So does the voter make the decision, or you people?
Well, we'd like your input. The council will make the
But
final
ultimately,
decision
that's
based on your input. Yes,
Ultimately, that's the
yes.
team of the
Yeah,
decision.
that's correct.
Yeah. All right, well, I would prefer the second, like by the McDonald over there versus closer to the people's house,
Okay,
That's my opinion.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nathan Douglas. I'm a resident of Seabrook, and specifically Seabrook Island. I may or may not be involved in a fire department that you're familiar with. I'm not sure. No, it's supposed to lighten the mood. If it goes to bond and it goes to election, I support. I support the police department. I support the pool. I did not know we had a pool option. My preference would be option 1 for the police department because it does bring it down just a little bit because we own the land. And that was one of the main considerations I had personally and some of my friends that I've bounced it off of is, correct me if I'm wrong, we also, if you did option 2, all that taxable commercial real estate goes away in the future. That's correct, right? Correct. And so I do support option 1 of the police department, would be my choice. That's like a 51-49% decision right there. I also think it's important to disperse the assets for the unforeseeable, whatever that unforeseeable is. Floodwaters, tornadoes, or whatever, gives us other options as a city to move assets. Whether it's the fire department having to move into the police department, or the police department having to move into public works, or vice versa, it gives us more options and choices for emergencies when they do happen, and obviously they do. So I would like to also ask for my mentor, Andy, there he is, to come up as well.
Hey, good evening. My name is Andy Castellano, and there you go. Can you hear me? My name is Andy Castellano. I also wanted to speak in support of the police station, and there's 2 things that I wanted to share. The first one is that, while the chief mentioned dispatch doesn't just dispatch for the police department. They also dispatch for fire and EMS as well. And in large-scale incidents, it's an integrated response. And so having an effective location from which to dispatch fire, EMS, and PD all at the same time and in a coordinated effort is incredibly important. The other thing I wanted to share was I thought your question was fantastic. One of the things that we find in emergency management and emergency response, and I've had the opportunity and privilege to do this role and other similar emergency roles for 20 years, is that while we can get away with things in the short term when they're the day-to-day activities and when it's kind of normal operating mode, when large-scale events happen, when crises happen, what it does is it really brings to highlight and magnify the gaps and the challenges that we faced. And while we often may manage them on a daily basis, when you have a large-scale event like Ike or most recently Beryl that we had an opportunity to respond to, it really shows up. And so when we have the opportunities, when we're not dealing with those crises, is when we need to be thinking about 3, 5, 10 years from now and planning for that appropriately. And so we have an opportunity to do that today and here, and I just want to provide my endorsement for a new police station. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let me expand on what the chief said about the commercial property. The property on 146 is a prime piece of commercial property in Seabrook, if not the most prime piece. In addition to the $3 million for the cost, the upfront cost of the land, the city would also lose any ad valorem, that's property taxes, and potential sales taxes. So that would be a forever deal. The next thing is that because of where it's being built right next to our existing fire department, that could restrict any addition or expansion to our fire department that may be needed in the future.
Okay, I got something then. Again, let's go back to the whole reason we're here. This place flooded in 2008 during Hurricane Ike. It was built in 1996. So you got how many years out of that? I'm not real good at math quick, so that's all the years you got out of it, because then it flooded. Because we're at 12 feet right here. You're going to move to 12 feet? Makes no sense. There's no voter in my right mind who's going to move from 12 feet to 12 feet. It's not going to happen. So at 15 feet, which is the highest point, happens to be that piece of real estate, which is $2.7 million. I like to say the exact thing because it's 2.7, not 3 million. So if you're going to say we're going to talk, then let's say it's 2.7. That's $300,000 extra. But notice how they do that, 3 million. Well, why don't we just say 600 billion? It's 2.7 million. And maybe we could negotiate and get that down. You don't know. It hadn't been done yet. It's what?
You can, I do.
So the point, though, is it's just fact. The fact is this is at 12 feet, you'd be moving to 12 feet. I don't get it. Yeah, do we need a new police station? I think we do. I don't think this is the time. And the reason why it's not the time is because the economy is where it's at. I don't think the people want to just spend more money. And because I've listened to the people. Actually, I talked to a lot of people at Dairy Queen. I get laughed at a lot about that, but when you actually talk to the citizens, you figure that out. And that's what they're saying. So I just don't see that happening. I've offered two different solutions. Move some officers over to Public Works, move some officers over to the fire department, and have like 3 precincts, one here, one over at Public Works, one at the fire station. That takes care of the overcrowding. And then put a Connex box with an AC in it, which is one of those boxes like on a truck right over here where the cars are all parked, all the police cars. And that you can put a lot of the evidence in there. It's secured because it's in the fence, it's got cameras, and then that box would be secured. So that would, take care of all those requirements. And then I think the biggest thing, and just hitting the nail on the head on this one, is I think the police want more money and better benefits. I think you solve your problem right there. But it's a luxury item to get a brand new police station. It's not been that long, 96 to 2025. So, in this town will grow some, but it can't grow that much. You're basically, you're landlocked. You don't have a lot of room for residential left. Not a lot, but you'd have some. But like I said, I gave out a stat last time at this where it was 6,000 in 1967 when I moved here. In 1996, it was 8,500, and now you're at 13,000. So, and some might say 13,500, but so it's not grown that much. That's 5,000 people from 96 to now. So could we use more officers or have them get better pay and better benefits? I think they'd like that. But that's a lot less than $15 to $18 million. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
I'd also like everyone to just pay attention to the differences in the flood zones of what they're proposing. So option A is an AE elevation 13, AE-EL 13. What we are currently in is AE-EL 15, so it's 2 feet higher. But the one, the corner at 146 and Meyer is an X, which is ideal, which would be completely eliminating the flood zone. Our city staff has said that we could build up the AE in the flood zone that's over by Ed White. But again, we're starting out in a flood zone. I just want y'all to pay attention to that.
Councilman, I appreciate your position. I respect your opinion. I don't have hard numbers for you, but in 1996, the volunteer fire department was running less than 200 calls for service. Today, we're running 1,300 calls for service. And we're not building out as much as we're building up. We go to 2,300 Rebsdorf and 3,300 Towers almost every day. And all the plans I've seen for this city is we're building up. That includes right across from where the proposed police station would be. I hear things about Valero. I hear things about Margaritaville. So the call for service level may be correlation to the population. It may not, but we're quadruple what we were in 96. I can only fathom what they are. Although anybody's welcome at our fire station, it's a city building. We've taken in EMS now. So could there be an office or something like that? But we've already had to bring in a whole nother group of folks that weren't planned originally for that building as well. So just a couple comments to counter some of the things you were mentioning. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ma'am, come up.
Curious, why isn't it being remodeled, the police department? We can't hear my. I think the microphone's on. Oh, here, now the green light's on. Why can't we hear why can't we rebuild or remodel the police station? There's not enough room, that seems like it, and if it's the same elevation as the one on Repsdorf or Lakeside.
It's actually 2 feet higher at Repsdorf, but it's still in a flood zone. And if it's 50% or more of remodeling, it has to go to FEMA's new building codes. But I'll let Gail elaborate on that.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is when the police department went through with an architect looking at what their current needs are right now, they're already out of the square foot that they're currently in. If we were to build back here, we would need to build up to the current codes, which would be over 15 feet. So we would need a completely different design. Probably wouldn't want to invest the taxpayers' money back at below base flood.
Oh, so the rules are different.
Right, the maps have changed since this building was first built, so FEMA's changed all the floodplain maps, and so it's a completely different set of codes that we're having to build to.
Okay, and because I walked in at that point, and then.
And there's some more information, when we finish, definitely talk to our floodplain administrator on both sites. He can explain probably a lot more as far as your specific questions here, as well as both sites.
I had is the pool to be remodeled. I just walked in on that. Did you say $800? I mean, $800,000 to just get remodeled?
Well, that's just to fix some of the problems with the piping. That wouldn't be new decking, that wouldn't be new coping, that wouldn't be new plastering.
Have you gotten more bids? I mean, I was in the pool business for a long time, that's my whole life, and that seems extremely high. How big is that pool?
25 yards wide, 6-lane pool, but there was 3 pools, and we only got 1 bid.
Yeah, that it needs more bids.
So that was an assessment of, we hired a company to come in and do assessments. And so it's a probable estimate cost. That wouldn't be what we would take. So we'd have to go out for actual bids. But they just had to give us an estimate of what are we looking at so that council could make a decision.
Well, if you need help, I'll get the people.
Okay, appreciate that.
Got a lot of connection. The other thing is, if the pool's only open 8 weeks a year.
Speak up in the mic.
Talking to the mic, please, so everybody can hear you.
Pool's only open 8 weeks a year. That just seems like a lot of money for,
This is why the
Once
town
six of-
hall's here. Your council needs to hear your opinion.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for 8 weeks. That should be extended. The other thing is if this is only flooded one time in all the years it was built, maybe build a little substation somewhere, I don't know. I don't want my taxes going higher. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Is it on? Okay.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
regard to the police station, what are you going to do with the parking area over here where all the cars are? Are you going to sell it, keep it? And what are you going to do with the existing police station? Any ideas?
Well, I think part of the issue with the police station, once it's vacated, City Hall has also outgrown its space.
Okay.
So there will be opportunity for expanding staff into the empty police station.
So the cars across the street, would that property be available, or would that be city property, or
That
consider
hasn't been
selling,
decided yet, but probably.
consider selling it to help offset some of the costs?
Yes.
In regards to the pool, I agree with her, 8 weeks a year is not long enough. And would you consider putting shade structures?
That's
Because
part of the
as-
plan, ma'am.
I didn't see the shade structure.
Yeah, they're on there.
The plans. And I think part of the issue is getting lifeguards. And since we have a large elderly population, you might consider some elderly swim times that exist after school starts and, sort of that water aerobics kind of thing. But you need a shade structure. You can't, it's just gotten too hot to swim.
I agree. Thank you.
Hey, quick on your point about that, I totally agree that the thing has shade structure. It's those triangle nets that block the shade. I think the pool should be open way longer than it is. It's not open near long enough. I'm a proponent of having our parks open all the time. You know, I didn't win that, but I'm just a proponent of having our parks or the pool open way more than it is. You have, you know, we're in the middle of winter and barely anybody's wearing a jacket today, and you're in the middle of winter. So, you know, in about a month and a half, it'll be warm enough to swim. So I personally believe the pool should be open a lot longer. And on this, I get real nervous when I hear if the police station moved out, then we could expand. Wow, because if you hire more people, you know what that means, more taxes for you. I'm a taxpayer here too. I've lived here since '67. I want to keep your money in your pocket and my money in my pocket. So less government for me is the way to go. That's my opinion. So we're only allowed to state our opinions here.
There it is. Okay, couple questions. One thing I noticed that was commented on. So this new proposed location that's really being pushed on us that we already voted no against. I just wanted to reiterate that. It's AE flood zone. And then I noticed on that screen that was shown that there won't be a retention pond. So there's homes surrounding that. There's a daycare surrounding that. Where will that water go? That's my first question.
So when Repsdorf was expanded, there's a drainage system in there that was enlarged. The city paid with the county during that project for an enlarged drainage system, and that took into play that land that's adjacent to Lakeside. So the calculations were there for an oversized drainage system.
Okay. That is a little nerve-wracking and worrisome. Second thing I wanted to call out, so the projected amount for the bond was posted there for, I keep pointing, I know it's not up there anymore, was projected $300,000 house value, like an extra $100 a year. But I wanted to call out that we just passed a huge bond last year, or 2 years ago, for the fire training facility. That was proposed for the fire truck that was proposed. We passed that. Now we're adding on another bond package. So it's easy to say, oh, it's just $100, but let me also add that CCISD passed a $302 million bond package that Harris County has proposed. I can't remember if it passed bond packages for county health. So we're talking 100 here, we're talking 200 here, we're talking 50 here. That's nickel and diming. So if this police station was as critical as you guys say, because Ike happened in 2008, why did y'all not focus on that in the last bond package instead of pushing all this fire training facility and everything else? That was a want, not a need, because we have LaPorte and we have Pasadena with Deer Park, and Pasadena with amazing fire training facilities that open their doors to other stations. So priorities are out of whack. I don't trust current council, current city manager with my taxpayer money. I appreciate my father is a police officer, retired, my uncle, my godfather, family full of them. Deeply respect and appreciate the police. There's a council member sitting up here that was divisive and said, well, if you vote no on this bond, then we know how you feel about the police. Absolutely not true. I think that is bull malarkey. I think that that is offensive to me and to many people that deeply respect our men in blue. Chief, I'm sorry that you just got hired and you're coming into this. We want to help you. We want to support the police. We just don't trust council currently with our money to do so. So hopefully we can find a way to come together and to make this work.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if people want to,
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was trying to get her. I talk all the time, so I'm just trying to give other people a chance. I don't like having my back to people. Sorry. JP Byers. I live in Seagate. What else? Is that it? I don't have to announce anything else. I've already said my piece on the police station. It is what it is. Has anybody talked or even thought about potentially privatizing our pool? I mean, if we really, really look at government, USPS versus FedEx and UPS, who takes their stuff to USPS unless they absolutely have to? Nobody, because FedEx and UPS do it better, faster, cheaper. Why do we have 2.5 acres worth of broken pool, horrible looking parking that needs a facade makeover that could easily be sold, collect tax dollars, and you write it into the deed restriction when you make a sale that says, and you have to allow the Stingrays or whatever swim team or a whole group of swimmers, they have to be allowed to practice here. And on top of that, they need a discounted code, whatever it is where they get discounts to come in and swim. But then you talk about, you don't have to worry about city employees or hiring kids, potentially have issues there. Insurance goes down for everybody. On top of all of that, this whole 8 weeks a year is gone. Like, it's a private company now. It's a small little water park, but I'm sure if you look at it, somebody could figure out how to make some money at it. And I don't know if you know this or not, but if you have something like that, it might actually put heads in beds. I don't understand when we start looking at these, and I didn't even realize until you just said that this was just an assessment done on the building of the pool, that this hasn't actually gone to bid for contractors to look at it. So we're talking, we are 4 months away from voting on a 3 to 5, potentially whatever, $1 million bond package, and have had 0 bids from actual contractors to do this. Why the heck are we even here talking about a bond?
Just to correct that, so for bid packages, as you know, somebody gives you a quote, they're usually good for how many days?
Yeah, but 60 to 90 days. But that doesn't change anything. We've spent, how much did it cost, Gail, do the last police station drawings?
Well, in June of this last year, we went before City Council during the CIP or Capital Improvement Project, and we presented to City Council that it was going to be $39,000 for the proposal, at which time all of your City Council were in favor of moving forward with that. So that's why we're at the second step, is because we wanted to make sure we were on the same page to proceed to that.
And so this thing, again, like I said, I get what you're saying. We spent $40,000 to get drawings that are about to get voted down in May, which really sucks. Like, we just spent, I mean, like, anybody here have $40,000 to flush down the toilet? Because if we did, we sure as heck wouldn't be complaining about $200 tax bill. Yeah, the previous one. I don't disagree with that. Then on top of that, we're talking about this pool. I grew up in these ball fields over here. Like, I mean, one of the things that killed me watching 146 come in, and I mean, we all knew it was inevitable, it was going to happen. There was nothing stopping the expansion. But I used to go play ball over here, and then as soon as I leave, turn around and go to Neptune's, right? I mean, like, that was a staple. Who didn't go see Vinny? Like, so I understand that these kids that swim need a place to swim. They need something to do, and I fully support that because of that. But I would also fully support, like I said, writing it into a deed restriction. Kick it to a curb. Everybody in the world that's ever owned a pool knows what a pool is. It's the same damn thing a boat is. It's a hole in the ground, you throw money. A boat, you have a nice boat, I've seen. Like, you know your boat is nothing but a hole in the water, you throw your money. Why are we throwing our money in it? You know, and everybody needs to understand something that hasn't been brought up today. But one of the things that really stinks about the way this has been presented a couple times, and it's kind of a transparency issue, is this is not a single bond for somewhere in the middle of, you know, $20 and $25 million. This is 2 bond packages. You're voting on one for the police station and one for the pool, right? 2 separate voting issues altogether. Does everybody know and understand that? All right. It's been lost in translation a lot. So that's my biggest thing when it comes to the pool is I don't understand why we can't privatize it or even discuss privatizing it, selling it off. If we're not even talking about using this as money to put towards the bond, Because also, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Seabrook also owns the wooded area that's right there next to it. Between the two spaces, we have just a hair over another acre that's right here. The 7 acres that we have over here, 5 acres that we have that we're talking about putting up, that land wasn't purchased. It was given to us. Like, the one thing that I've had conversations with the mayor of Clear Lake Shores. A city's job isn't to be in ownership of vacant land for no reason, because we lose tax dollars on it. So why are we throwing our money into a pool that was going to cost us $800,000? What do you think is going to happen in 10 years? Cost of inflation is going to cost us $2 million to keep up and maintain the new one. It just doesn't make any sense.
Next. Anybody else?
Evening, Council, Mayor, Chief. A couple quick questions. Chief, have you spoken with the local residents in your proposed area over there by the daycare and the residents in that area about wanting to put the police station in that area? Because everybody's going to try and say, not in my backyard. That's question one for you.
Some I have, yes.
And what's been the response?
It's been a mixed response, both sides.
Okay. Gail, question for you about the pool. My kids grew up here in Seabrook. I'm a 20-year resident. I'm in Lake Cove, along with some of these other fine residents here. I understand the expense of running the pool because I'm on the board there. Have we looked at the people that come to the pool? Are they residents or non-residents? And what's the cost going to be to the residents to come use this so-called new pool?
So right now, we haven't even talked about rate structure. Wasn't planning on changing rate structure. That's never been a discussion. I think as long as the consultant was hired, we started when they did the conceptual of doing a survey. So I think we had over 300 people that responded to the survey. So we did have a presentation to council that broke up residents, non-residents, demographic of age, who used it, why they wanted to use it. So that was part of the city council's presentation and deliberation of trying to figure out, does it make sense first based on the public input? So that was a component when the assessment was done, leading into the 3 designs that you saw as well.
So as far as the numbers, residents versus non-residents of use of the pool in the past, where are the numbers?
I believe, I don't have that in front of me, but residents was higher as far as the survey that was completed. Over the last probably 5 years, we've done some chicken scratch surveys as well. So when the gatekeepers or the ticket individuals, when people come in, we were noticing that we had more residents. Our highest usage, I think, at one point was daycares. So we had a number of daycares that were coming in as well. So that bumped up the numbers. But overall, residents were still, I think, higher than our non-resident utilization.
Now, as far as the Seabrook Stingrays, they've come to us to try to use our pool. And when we looked at it, it just wasn't worth the risk. Even though they've got insurance and they're going to provide all the lifeguards, but then, when you look at, all the other liabilities that go on with that. We'd love to see the Stingrays. I mean, we don't want to see that go away, but there are options out there for the Stingrays with other pools in the area. So don't let the Stingrays be the driving factor, and we have to have a Seabrook pool. There are options out there for that. The splash pad. Where's all the money coming to pay for that highly expensive Houston, Pasadena water? We, the residents, are paying for that? Is that correct?
Your water source is
Water
from the
for the
city?
splash pad over there on Retsdorf? That thing runs all the time when it's warm out, I should say.
There's a mechanical...
Water's not cheap in Seabrook.
Brian, you may be able to... It's a recycling system. Okay. I knew there was a reason.
I could have told you that.
The water's on all the time over there.
Check, check. Hi, my name is Tyler Cabina. I'm a teacher and coach at Seabrook Intermediate. I'm also a resident on the east side of Seabrook. I had a question, maybe this might be a difficult one to answer as far as the police station might go. As far as worst case scenarios, right? Response times to real big emergency for school, whether it's elementary, intermediate, whether it's option A or B on the proposal, do we know if there is going to be any difference in response times? Say the worst case scenario happens and we need police there now, we're on lockdown, shut down, anything like that. Do we know if there's going to be a difference at all?
Based on location, I don't think there would be any difference in our response time from either of those 2 points, any different than it is from this one.
Gotcha. Has there been, again, has there been any kind of outreach towards any of the staff of the schools or to the daycare or the church in those areas as far as feedback from them and their kind of feeling on having a police station in that area at all? And
I know the school districts are aware of our project. I don't have any comments, formal comments back from them.
sure, I can say just as a CCISD employee on a number of commissions that safety, as you can tell by my questions, is kind of like one of the main priorities for our learning environments. Obviously, teaching and academics and all that is huge, but it might be worth just reaching out just to get an idea, because that has been a major theme for CCISD as far as ensuring student safety, and obviously having a police station in some sort of form or fashion, whether that's nearby or wherever, might be relevant to the conversation. Yes, sir.
If I can ask a question, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit.
That's fine.
Your gut reaction, what's the difference? Does it make a difference in safety how far the police station is from the school?
To me, no. And in fact, I'll just be perfectly honest. I have absolutely zero problem having a police station near to me at all. That's easy for me to say because I live on the east side. You know, this police station is not being proposed in my backyard. But as far as I can say too is police station does not give me personally the same anxiety as it would anybody, but I live relatively closer to the nearest police station. As far as being a teacher and a coach for almost 900 plus students, some of the students being children and grandchildren of those in the room, we are unofficially that person that's supposed to protect those kids in the worst case scenario. So to have a quick response time wherever that police station may be, that's of course some interest to those on campus. It's a big reason why my wife no longer works at the school now, is for the idea. She just had a baby 7 months ago. So the idea of just safety and everything like that is a relevant conversation. It's complicated. And I will also say, just since I'm up here rambling, on the idea of a pool, I grew up in Camino South, Clear Lake. I ended up living in Seabrook, or attending Seabrook Intermediate in 6th grade. We didn't have any pools in our neighborhood, and 8 weeks, wherever that might be, that was a luxury for us. I mean, having a public pool for however long that we could have it was the place to be. It's where I learned how to swim. That's where I could ride my bike and hang out in that area, in a contained area. My wife and I are bought all in. It's impossible to buy a house, and we somehow managed to do that 18 months ago, and this is the spot that we chose. We wanted to do that near walking distance of an elementary school and an intermediate school and a pool, and of course being near the grandparents. So everything that happens there on this east side is relevant to us. We'll zig where we zag and all that and everything. We'll adjust, of course. But I appreciate you raising the question again. It was I did inquire about the heating of the pool last week just because we see this pool in Friendswood. People using that in Friendswood. There's a pool off of Pine Lock and Clear Lake. There's always people in that pool for some reason because it's heated. And then maybe you might get more bang for your buck, whatever that buck may be. But yeah, it's a long answer to a short question. Apologies for that.
Thanks for the answer.
Thank you. Could you come up here and use the microphone? I can't hear you.
Just the difference elementary and junior high, right? So, like, the fact of it being closer to a junior high would be way better because there's just much more need for police protection at a junior high.
I,
There's danger, there's kids doing all kinds of stuff at the junior high.
I mean, I can't, I've never worked for an elementary school. My wife did. She worked for Go Forth Elementary for a couple of years before she worked at Seabrook. I mean, I'm not going to say whether or not one school should have more priority or the other, if one is more dangerous than the other. I will say there's a reason why we no longer attend that 8th grade across the pool anymore, and why we have that 8th grade on campus kind of celebration now. And that was before the pool actually closed. I'd be very interested and hopeful for more community interaction with that pool and any other amenities that we might have, and have more of our 12, 13, and 14-year-olds more active in that environment. You know, I mean, like I said, my wife and I are all in on this city. We want to be a part of a city that's still around and growing in 25, 50 years. And I guess you would need a larger police station in order to make that happen. I know economic development has been everybody's grievance for the last couple of years. If I was a business owner, I would like to have probably a new police station. I don't know, however that form or fashion might be. But I know as residents that are bought in now for the long haul, because I'm not going to go through that house buying thing again, I'll tell you that. We'll just hope for the best of what comes out.
Thank you.
May I make a comment about I know people are saying, oh, well, the police station we have now is currently right here by Bay Elementary, but it has its own entrance. What proposing on A is going to be the same entrance for them as it is for all the cart, hiker, biker, all the foot traffic. There's not a separate entrance. It's all going through the same location. I encourage anyone who hasn't been out to that location to go check it out, because I know it's kind of a little tucked away.
Hello, hello. All right, I'm Christopher Hughes. Nice to meet all y'all. It's my first time I ever stood up and talked in front of City Hall. My first question is about the police station. It's more focused on, will we see information about the interior of the building, because a lot of the stuff that we've seen is focused on the outside development of the buildings and the bond packages and the options that we have there. So I was wondering if there's more effective, smaller console units that we could have to buy up some space in those rooms, or if our officers are even consider themselves filing cabinet professionals. Do y'all think that y'all are good at organizing the evidence room? Is that something that maybe we could step up upon?
As far as the dispatch center goes, the consoles aren't any smaller. And then there's always the question of if we take on water again, no matter how much we put in there, they're not going to work. They go down immediately. As far as the evidence room, if you have any ideas after you tour, and I would encourage you to tour, I would be all ears.
Lovely. I would love to give it a little tour. I don't know if that's what we're allowed to do today.
Yes, it is.
And then the pool. I'm a big fan of DOGE. If anyone knows what DOGE is, that's the Department of Government Efficiency. They just appointed Elon Musk to be the captain of that. And so I'm not a big fan of large government. And I think if we're going to have our federal government taking a step down and trying to shrink and minimalize, I think we should focus that here on a local level as well. I don't think we should be trying to expand. And so I really like JP's point about maybe privatizing the pool. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Is it on? Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having an informal session where we don't have a timer. We can actually have dialogue. I really appreciate you guys doing a listening session for all of us to have some interaction with each other and with you guys. On the police station, just from what I'd seen before, coupled with the tour I just finished taking, it all really illuminates that we do have to do something. It's an all-or-nothing proposal the way it had been packaged in the past of we had the conceptual drawings, it had a lot of the must-haves in there. I'm strongly supportive of the redesigned Sallyport, the better evidence room, a lot of the things that really make it much more possible to do effective and efficient policing of our community. But it also feels like there's some nice-to-haves in the package as well. So I'm wondering, is it a possibility, and is there a process for having a couple different options for approving improvements in our police department, whether it's remodel or a new location or whatever, but scaled down versus here it is, take it or leave it. It's one thing that we either approve or disapprove, and I'm a little worried that our real legitimate must-have policing needs might get caught up in the fact that there's some sticker shock on the total number that the bond package might have to be to cover it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have an idea where you'd like it?
No, I have no opinion at all. I want it in Seabrook.
I love that answer.
Chief, I know you're talking about the evidence room. Is there any way that you have some old evidence that you could do away with it? I mean, just on the news, you talk about Houston City, they have the evidence room, they got some old stuff, they cleaning it up. Is that the same thing with you guys?
It's the same thing with every police evidence room, and we've been in a constant state of purge since I got here, as far as cleaning out what can be cleaned out. But many things, sexual assault kits, any death-related evidence, or most death-related evidence, it remains in perpetuity. So we're talking about 100 years for that stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering, like I said, if we got too much, get rid of it.
Yes, sir. No, we're definitely getting rid of what we can.
Okay. On the pool, I know that in Seabrook Island, we have a pool. I don't see too many people use it, and I know we're paying pretty high dollar for that on the HOA. And the maintenance on that pool is also pretty high. But I don't see the amount of people for what we're paying for the use that, they do. So, like, I'm with that lady right there, I agree with what she said. I don't think we need to spend that kind of money for something that we're not going to use it. And also, in the future years, we're going to have to do that again. So I got nothing against the police station. I got something against the location. That's my problem. I don't have a problem with the new police station at all, But the location, this is where my gripe is, I don't mind if it's in your backyard, I just don't want it in my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, I had a question. You said that, when you're asking questions, interrogating, I guess, in the one room that everybody has to clear out, how often does that happen? Well, I mean, you didn't give any idea of, does that mean nobody's ever using the kitchen or, I'm just trying to get a rough idea of.
It's not frequent, but it's not rare. And sometimes we'll go through a flurry where we've got someone in there every day for several days. Not the same person, of course, but it's busy. And then we'll go for a week or two where we don't have the occasion to interview anyone in there. So it just depends.
And then how much bigger is the evidence room or going to be if we approve this? Or, as far as percentage or number of years or what?
About 4 times the size it is now.
And so that ought to last us for, I mean, what are we talking, a 20-year or 50 years or,
Assuming management stays proper, it would be probably a 50-year evidence room for a community this size.
And on the dispatch, is there any way to do that totally separate that from the headquarters? In other words, is that the type of thing that we could do out of a totally different location?
It's possible, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hi. Okay, so we live in Seabrook, okay? We're in a flood zone. So have we done any, estimates on fixing up? I believe we need an upgrade, but about raising the city or the police station and having if we own that property, why can't we expand off that? Have we done estimates on revamping that?
So I may call on Sean to come up, but I think to answer your first question, to raise, they're on the first floor here, so that would mean raising this entire building. So structurally, we
And
can't.
Due West does up to, they do huge buildings, like
So-
8 stories, 15 stories.
Okay, so no, we have not looked at doing a raising of this building. And then if we built again, we'd be building at the new floodplain.
Now, we're talking about this building, or are we talking about the police station?
So
We're
this
talking
is the
about the
police station. So we're on the same level as the police station right now.
Okay, so, but isn't the police station over in that section? Yes. Okay, but it's all attached?
Correct, right.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, so I'd like to take a tour of the police station.
Okay, great.
So, and, I think we need some estimates. I think we need some real, hard numbers, what we can look at. I think that the amount that has been presented to us is quite a bit. Our taxes are going up. It's kind of hard, I don't know. Just, I like that lady's idea of getting some estimates. So,
Can someone explain what day this has to be? Is it February 4th? This has got to go and be finalized to be on the May election?
Correct. So city council will have it on the February 4th agenda to look at.
So what I'm hearing from the people, that is a very short time to then make these changes, so that's what I'm hearing.
Who's the current property owner of that one on 146? And has any discussion been had with that property owner?
We've had contact with the broker and the owner. Last name of the property owner is Loomer.
There's actually 2 property owners, 7 parcels. So, but they're paying taxes on about $1 million less than what they're asking for. So I'm sure there's room for negotiation, in my opinion.
So what about over by the water treatment? That whole property, buildings, all that, where we just, the offices over there, the dog place and the water treatment. What about all that?
Public Works Complex. Right. So the city built on the property that they owned over there as well.
So is there more property over there to be built on that's owned by the city?
Yes, on the other side of Repsdorf, there's that little corner. It's mowed. There's a little corner, I forget the side street, but it's Repsdorf. We actually bought that when I was on council for a possible smaller substation for the fire department. That was the thinking at the time. Nothing's happened from that, but we do own that piece of property there.
Do we know how long that property has been up for sale? The corner property that y'all are saying is prime real estate and like an opportunity for this tax, for all these taxes? How long has that been on the market?
So with the State Highway 146 expansion project, that was United Rentals. And so with the right-of-way takings with the state, that property was then vacated.
So how long has it been on the market was my question.
2019.
2019? And this is lost ad valorem tax that y'all keep saying. We have empty buildings everywhere. We have empty storefronts. And this is y'all's reason why that property is not suitable. It's been on the market since 2019. That's crazy.
Anyone else?
You have to keep in mind, not only this property, but where the edge is, there are a number of properties that have been kind of put on hold, including Miramar Shopping Center, any improvements there, until the completion of 146. And now that 146 is complete, you're seeing the activities in Miramar. The edge is going to break ground this month. So you're going to see activity. It's the same thing with this property. Nobody's going to go in and spend $1 million on a piece of dirt when you have 146 under construction.
Maybe when we no longer have a failing EDC, then that can be marketed and promoted. But as of now, it's been on the market since 2019. It's prime real estate.
Anyone else? We appreciate everybody coming. If you want to go in the back and look at the boards, staff is available, chief is available, council will be available to answer any questions that you have. So please feel free. Thank you.